Hi, I'm Katie, a home sewist from South East London. I'm working with Love Crafts today to show you guys how to make a range of fanciful, festive fabric face masks, which is quite the mouthful, but hopefully not as tricky to sew as it is to say. I'm going to take you through everything that we've got here, everything that you're going to need, and also a few other ideas on how to start customizing your own. So let's get going. Here's everything we're going to need to make our fabulous face masks. Selection of lovely cottons from Love Crafts. I've gone with a Christmas theme. Some stationery bits and pieces, pens, pencil, paper, ruler, that's for making our pattern pieces. Pins or pattern weights if you prefer. Same with rotary cutter or scissors if you prefer, little snips. Some elastic available on Love Crafts. And then fun things to help jazz up our face masks. So some buttons, some nice jazzy thread, a few kind of notion-y trimmy bits, and I found these really nice beads on Love Crafts. I thought they'd be kind of cute. So that's everything we're going to need. Next, we're going to look at making our pattern piece. So we're going to start with a rectangle. It's going to be 10 inches by 6 inches. You can adjust these sizes once you've made a couple if you want to try something a bit bigger or somewhere in between or whatever. So you've got your rectangle. Then you're going to go in 2 inches here and in 2 inches here and draw your diagonal line just like I've done. And you're going to do that for all of the corners that we've got. So you end up with this sort of, what is that, like a hexagon-y kind of shape? So that's the mini one. The not so mini one for us adults. This one's going to be 12 inches across by 7 inches in height, but we're still going to come in by these 2-inch marks here and draw our kind of diagonal lines off all of the corners. That is all you need for this pattern. You'll cut 2 of these for each mask you're making. Okay, so I've pinned my 2 pieces together. This is for the sort of regular sized mask. Pin them right sides together. We're then going to sew around the edge with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to start from this bottom corner here and go all the way around and stop at this top corner here. That just means that we've got a little gap to turn this back the right way round. Okay, so it's now right side round and all my corners have been poked out. I'm going to give them a good press, and then this is my front side of my fabric and this will be the inside of my mask. What we're going to do is just fold it over like this. So from this corner to this corner here, just going to fold them so you can see like that, and the same here on this side, corner to corner like that, and give it a good press so you've got a nice crisp line there as well. Here we are, all nice and pressed, looking very crisp. Now what we're going to do is pop your finger in the middle of one of your little diagonal flappy bits and pull it up to the top, just like that. So trying to keep a nice kind of straight edge. We will pin that in place for now. Stop it moving around. And we'll do the same on all of them. So just again, finger in the middle, pull it up like that. So you've got a nice crisp edge and pin it in place. And what we're going to do next is just fold this over, and we'll be stitching along the edge, so you'll end up with a little channel. You want to fold it over far enough so that it catches your little corner here. So you see it's just inside, so when I stitch it down, all of that will stay put. So I've pinned this little channel down, and you can see that this is the side that we hadn't stitched closed. So this is where we turned everything inside out earlier. Stitching this down is going to close that up, so we don't need to worry about that. That will all be kind of covered as we stitch along here. It's worth remembering though that you are going to get a visible stitch line on the front of your mask, so just try and go as neatly as you can. Make sure you're happy with your thread coordination. I'm going to keep the blue because I think it will look quite nice, and we'll tie in with this side. And if your machine is anything like mine, it is going to be really unhappy with this situation because there's a lot of layers going on over here, so I will probably put some fabric or something just underneath the back of my presser foot to lift it, so that it's not struggling too much, and it should glide through a little bit easier then. So that's all closed, that's all enclosed now, so that's not going to be coming apart. And on the front, it's all looking nice and neat. We'll do the same for this side now. To help me thread it through, I've got a little safety pin. I've put that through my elastic, and then I'm just going to kind of go through there like that and use my safety pin to guide me. So here it is, your finished fancy fabric festive 3D face mask, all ready to go. You can see I've left the ends of my elastic open so that I can tie it to whatever length I want, or whoever I give it to can do the same. What we're going to do next is look at a few ways to start customizing these, but also creating a little bag that you can gift it in and also keep it safe in when it's in your bag. Okay, so we are going to now look at making the scarf mask, which you can use if you want a little bit more coverage around your neck or kind of your chest area, or if you've got a beard that's particularly long and you don't want a normal scarf to kind of distort the shape of it when you take it off, a bit like hat hair, I guess you can get a mask beard. Anyway, so I've cut out the scarf bits, which are just kind of these big triangles, you can kind of see. I've got an inside and an outside fabric. Then I've cut out two of the mask pieces, but you'll see what I've done is I've left that bottom flap off, so we've just got a straight edge, and that's what we're going to attach our mask piece to. Again, I've got an outside and an inside. Got some elastic and this beautiful button that I'm going to use. That will fasten the scarf bit around the neck, just so it's not kind of flapping about. The other thing that I've done is all of these pieces I've folded in half so that I can find the center point along this straight seam. So let's sew this edge first, and then we'll come back later and do the rest. I've now sewn my two mask bits together, so I've got the mask half of the mask and the scarf half of the mask sewn together like that, and I've got the inside fabric done, and then I've done the same with my outside fabric as well. Then what I've also done is sewn in my elastic for my ears. If you're doing around the back of the head, that's cool, you just would have one that goes all the way across. The reason that I've done this, and we haven't done it on previous masks, on the main masks, is that because of our scarf, we don't have the little turny over bit that we've used to create the channel before, because it's all going to be stitched. There's no extra bit around here, so you can't actually turn it. You can't fold it, is what I'm trying to say. You can't fold it. So on the right side of my fabric, so with the nice neat seam, not the raw edge, I've just stitched my elastic down just because it's going to be too small and fiddly to pin. So I've just stitched it there, and the same for both. And then I've also added in, on my scarf bit in this corner, a little elastic loop that I'm going to use to secure the scarf around the neck. So we'll have a little like button that it will hook onto. Again, I've done this right side on the right side, and what I'm going to do is bring in my right side fabric and put the two right sides together. So this is the fabric you'll see on the outside. This is the fabric that will be up against your face, so this is the inside of your mask. So I'm going to just put the two fabrics right side together like that, and then I'm going to sew all the way around the edge, just like we've done before with the other masks. And just like before, I'm going to leave a little gap here to turn it right side round again. Okay, so I've stitched all around my edge. I've left a little opening to turn it right side round. And I've clipped down all of my seams. So I've got a much smaller seam allowance and kind of clipped off the corners so I can get a nice neat corner, nice sharp corner. What I'm going to do now is turn it right side round, give it a good press, and then I'm just going to stitch this closed with a little slip stitch and then do the fold and fold that we've done before, so you get the little nose area, but we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so I've turned my mask right side out. I've given everything a really nice press. It's all looking crisp. I've done the usual turning over at these 2 points here and then folding back on itself. But now we're going to do something a little bit different again, just because of how this mask is made kind of down here. We've got our elastic sandwiched in here, so that's all neat, but we need a way of fixing this. You could, if you wanted to, just go all the way down and either stop there or carry on all the way down. I think that might look a bit weird because it's on this side. It's just going to almost be in the middle of the mask, so it's going to be coming down there, which will look a bit peculiar. So what I'm going to do instead is do a little stitch along here, just a small one, just to secure it in place there and there. So I'm going to do the stitch horizontally just to kind of secure it in. So you'll still get the kind of nosy shape, but with only the tiniest bit of stitching on the front. So that should look quite neat and smart. Then I'm going to slip stitch my opening closed. So that's done. And then I'm going to sew my button on like that. And then mask will be complete, and that will be the scarf mask. Okay, so we're going to start making the bag that we'll keep our masks in, or put them in if we're gifting them. I've got my pattern pieces here. I've got the 2 little end pattern pieces that I've also cut out, and I've changed the presser foot on my machine to a zipper foot just so I can get a little bit closer. It's not an invisible zipper foot, it's just a regular one, just so I can get a bit closer. So I've got my 2 little end pieces and they're going to go on the ends of the zips. What I've done is I've folded them and just pressed them in half, because that will just give us a really nice neat edge. And then I'm going to place it at the end of my zipper like that. And you can sew along the outside if you want and just secure it in place like that. Or what I'm going to do is open it up and just sew it on the inside. Okay, so those are all sewn on. And now we're going to start piecing the bag together. We're going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to start by doing this side. So I've got one piece of my cotton. This is the front, but I'm using the same fabric for the inside and the outside. What I'm going to do is place it so that it covers the zip. Like that. So what will happen when we sew along here and when we open it up, you'll get that nice neat edge. So that's why we're doing that. So I'm going to place that there, and then I'm going to get an inside piece. If you've got a different fabric, lovely for you. If not, doesn't matter. And I'm going to kind of sandwich the zip between the 2. So you can see there, we've got a little sandwich of inside zip with its little endy bit, and then outside. And then we're just going to sew all the way along there. So I've got this pinned in place, and just before I started sewing, I wanted to show you how I've placed the kind of zipper pull inside, because that's obviously going to get in the way. I'm starting at this end. So I've pulled my zipper pull to the other end. When I get to about halfway, I'm just going to lift my presser foot and wiggle the zipper pull back this way, so then I've got a clear run at this side. You'll see me do it as we go through, and hopefully it will make sense. So I'm going to lift my foot, open this up, grab my little zipper pull, just pull it open. So now I've got no pull getting in the way of this. Foot down, and we crack on again. Okay, so this is how our bag is looking at the moment. This is the outside. This will be the inside. So what we're going to do is take both of your front outsidey pieces and put them together. And I'm going to pin them with green pins just so that we can tell the difference. And we're going to do the same for the inside piece, which I'm going to do in white, just so that we remember that that's the inside. So then what we're going to do is sew from 1/3 of the way in on our inside pieces, so these ones with the white pins. Going to sew all the way round with our sort of 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Going to sew all the way around here, all the way around, and then finish again 1/3 of the way in the bottom of our inside piece. So what you'll end up with is a little gap here between these 2 points that we can use to turn our bag inside out. So yeah, let's do that. So I've turned my bag right side out, given it a really nice press, so we've got some nice crisp seams going on. Now the final thing we need to do is just sew up the little hole that we had to turn it around the right way. So I'm doing a really basic slip stitch, which means that I am going into one side, like that. So within my seam allowance, pulling my needle through, and then going across directly to the other side, exactly in line with where my needle has just come out. And I'm doing exactly the same. There we go, there's our finished bag. Got all our zip tucked in nicely with our little zip ends there. Nice lining inside. And well, would you look at that, it matches the mask we've just made as well. So now you can pop your beautiful mask in your beautiful bag. Keep it safe.